because it's the silly, stupid, fascinating, weird, wonderful. They're my people, and more often than not, they're the geeky people as well.
I mentioned Betamax. For anybody older, that's the old version of a video cassette. Video cassette is an old version of a DVD. A DVD is not set in the clouds.
Hello and welcome to Faith and Geekery on this delightful May evening. I am Becca Bias, one of your co-hosts, and this is
Mark. Hello.
Hello, Mark. How are you doing?
As I was explaining a little bit off air, it's been an up and down day. There's been birthdays today and there's been card fraud as well as other bits in between. So it's been a little bit of an interesting one, I'll be honest.
How are you staying upright, Mark?
A plaster on my little toe. That helps.
And have you had birthday cake for Mrs. Mark?
Birthday cheesecake.
Oh,
As
nice.
in it was just cheesecake, but
bought on birthday. Was there a candle on the cheesecake? Did you top it? I see.
Sorry.
We don't judge here in Faith and Geekery, people.
But if we did, Becca would.
But if we did, we'd be doing it right now.
For podcast listeners, there's a very disdained look from Becca.
a look of judgment and condemnation crosses Becca's face. And as always, we will ask the question, what geekiness have you been up to this week? So do get in touch in the comments. We would love to hear what you've been up to.
What have you been up to, Becca?
Well, let me tell you what I did with my long bank holiday. I went to a garden centre. It was a glorious bank holiday. I did go to a garden centre. If I am consistently inconsistently consistent, it is with I know I'm not sure that was a double negative, but I do like a house plant. I have liked house plants for a very long time, since I went away to school and bought myself a cheese plant, which then grew into a monstrosity of a plant until it was too big to stay in the room and ended up having to live in the corridor. Plants are then... It was humongous. The one I now have would, if it was standing up tall, would reach the ceiling.
Was it affected by eclipses at all? And did it have like a hunger for blood?
No, it never turned into flesh-eating triffidness.
No, okay.
But it is the triffid that follows me around. And plants are also my barometer for how I'm doing. So I keep a peace lily. This is a tip for all of you at home. A peace lily, because they are very dramatic, and when they need watering, they just kind of flop in a very pathetic manner, and you just give them a nice little water and they'll perk right up. So I know if the peace lily has completely flopped and is all shriveled and miserable looking, then one, I've kind of been neglecting paying attention to things, and two, all of my other plants and probably myself need a really good drink. So I keep that in the house. I do occasionally spend some time reading books and looking at posts and reels on house plant keeping. Wow. So that has been my geekiness, and a pilgrimage to the local garden centre is probably my top 5 delightful things that I like to do.
Good.
So, what about you, Mark? What have you been up to?
Bank holiday geekiness has involved board games, which is always fun to do. And last week I managed to get versus babies from a charity shop for £1.50, which is like a funny build up your army against mutant babies sort of thing. It's for 10 years plus. So it's a bit of a weird one, but it's fun.
What is the mutation of the babies? Can you give us an
varied.
example?
I'm just going to see if I can see it, but I can't.
Mark is now looking around behind him at his geeky
No.
shelves.
I'm afraid it is not here. I think Becky has it in the car or something. But it has like a fur cover, so it's like proper. It is
like
quite
the Monster Book of Monsters.
Yeah, it's quite elaborate. It's quite elaborate. But basically, you got to start off with playing a head, and then you attach a body, then arms, and various multipliers. And then somebody calls that you've got to kind of fight a baby from the sea, the land, or the air. And these are really mutated, weird. But yeah, no, it's out there. It's definitely out there. I can understand why somebody sent it to a charity shop, and I'm really glad that I got it for £1.50. So it's a win-win world sort of thing.
Fabulous.
So it's been geekiness about board games. Today I've also been doing some AR stuff, which I'll reference a little bit later on the Geeky Gallery. But it's been fun, interesting, and also full of birthday celebrations today. So I can't knock that at all.
Happy birthday, Mrs. Mark.
She's not here, so.
No, obviously when she watches back avidly several times.
Yes, of course. Yes, of course.
When she's out on her stroll listening to the podcast, the eager, supportive wife that I know that she is.
Yes.
Yes.
You're going down quite a slippery slope there.
Shall we move on swiftly to
yes.
Geeky
it's time
news?
For Geeky News.
Welcome to Geeky News, and first up is movie news, and James Gunn has teased out an interesting photo of Superman, which should hopefully get the DC Universe fans excited. Next is Eurovision news, and Ollie Alexander has released a statement supporting fans that have chosen to boycott Eurovision over the inclusion of Israel, but there's question over lyrics changes and things like that. So there's a bit of concern and overshadowing of the competition. And lastly, Netflix has begun production of Wednesday Series 2. And again, it's quite strange that Jenny Ortega's role, the main lead, is under some doubt or question of whether she's going to continue in the role, which will be rather intriguing to see how that develops. Also, original cast return, or most of the original cast return, as well as some new faces, or recognisable faces, such as Joanna Lumley, Steve Buscemi and Billie Piper. That's all for Geeky News. Thank you.
I always know when I've made an opportunity. I've got it right with Geeky News when Becca goes, ooh, on the camera.
Ooh, that is interesting. So how are they, what are they saying about Wednesday? What is the...
Well, there's some speculation whether she's only going to be in it for like an episode or something, which just seems a little bit weird.
Surely that's to stir up some interest and some ghastness.
And that's it. I assume it isn't like properly serious unless it would be weird, won't it? Very weird.
She made that. I mean, who was I talking to? I think I was talking to my dad about it. The casting for Wednesday has been particularly good, but without her, it wouldn't be Wednesday.
Yeah, it really wouldn't.
She is Wednesday.
But bizarrely, it's got like it had the other Wednesday in.
Yes.
And then also it's had another Wednesday in on the credits. So there's at least 3 Wednesdays that have been involved.
Oh, who was the third Wednesday? The original Wednesday?
Yeah, I think
so. That would be brilliant. I've not actually noticed that.
Yeah, I'm going to have to look it up now.
I'll have to see if she's in it.
I'm going to do this, which is great streaming.
Mark is looking away from the camera, looking down at something. His notes. Are you Googling?
IMDb. There isn't any other kind of things available.
No. What was the other news? Eurovision's always going to have. So there's always Eurovision is political, So if it didn't have something political, particularly around the conflict, it wouldn't be Eurovision.
Yeah.
I can't think what the other news was now.
That was it, I think.
No, and Superman.
Oh yeah,
I have
yeah.
not got into new Supermans, I'm afraid. They didn't quite. I used to watch the TV series back in the 90s,
Yeah, oh,
but
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
newest ones, I've not actually. I've watched them, but they're not holding much memory.
No. It, yeah, it's just really fascinating where the DC universe has gone, going to limped along with. So yeah, it just seems a little bit. I kind of willing it to do well, but just
Mm.
worried that it's gonna collapse and fail. Dare I say? But
What do you
it's
think?
got.
How much longevity has the whole comic book? They've kind of they've brought us through a period of time where we've needed easy access, easy watching, hero driven. The world feels unstable, but it's okay. There's people out there that are fighting for the cause. Do you think that is going to last for another 5, 10 years?
As the expert that I am, no.
Yes, tell us, Mark.
I think that somebody has talked about how the need for comic books, escapism, and that sort of stuff does reflect when times are hard. So
Yes,
when kind of kind of war has threatened, and otherwise, very much kind
yeah,
of Superman came out of that, and there's
yeah,
always kind of it. It reflects a bit of a cultural need and desire for escapism and a hero. So I kind of get that it could be in swaves, but I think also because we're in this such a we've got such an appetite for movies, for films, for series. I
mm,
feel as if you can't just do a bog standard hero film now because it's been and done. You can't do a
yes,
bog standard origin story because it's been and gone. And
yeah.
for good, yeah. And there are also certain companies that have done the same origin story again and again.
Well,
The
it's
amount of
like
times,
Disney reworking the original animations into live action, and
yeah,
they've done some incredible things. I mean, The Lion King was
yeah.
just beautiful, but this reworking of stories, yeah.
Well, I remember chatting to one kid about the Lion King, and still going, yeah, and they went and did it with real lions this time. I was like, that they did not, do it with real lions, but that's
Well
nice.
trained,
It's nice that you
real
thought that.
lions.
So that was quite sweet, really. But yeah, but I think this is it where just as you know the original epics of film and movie didn't have to do very much. They were very cinematic. You know, the cinematography was great,
Yeah,
and the story could be kind of long and gently rolling, and kind of as we've kind of eaten up this kind of atmosphere and the culture and it needs to be now fast paced. It needs to have plot hooks. It needs to kind of move us from here to there really quickly
yeah,
and smoothly. And the special effects have got to be fantastic in order to
mm,
kind of jump through, in order to fulfill the usual role anyway, the usual kind of film stuff. So it's interesting to see that we've kind of got a well known director who is known for churning things up a little bit, but I'm still not 100% sure. I watched the Suicide Squad, the second one, or the
mm.
remake of the second one, or whatever it is. And so that was James Gunn. I was like, it's all
What, Birds
right.
of Prey? Birds of Prey, is that the second Suicide?
No, that was the standalone Harley Quinn one.
Oh,
So there's
yeah, okay.
Suicide Squad, and the Suicide Squad,
Suicide.
the Squiz
Yeah.
Squad. Yeah, so it's been a little bit crazy. So I'm just willing them to do better and hope. But I think with DC, they've had such a bad run of things. And there are some die-hard fans out there. I just want something for the die-hard fans to get their teeth into, but not to be in the shadow of Marvel. But it's very hard to do hero movies without being in the shadow of Marvel. So they'll have to bring something special out of the bag in order to win over fans, old and new, as well as stand alone from the usual. So yes, quite interesting.
Yes, it is. It is really. Was that all of our news? Have we covered the news?
I think that was all of our news.
Excellent. Shall we have a quiz?
I think we should have a quiz.
Ooh. That is such a short ditty that I hadn't even got out my notes in time. Okay, well, considering the title for today was Eurovision, Doctor Who, and Other Meanderings, I have 2 Eurovision Song Contest questions, 2 Doctor Who question, and one of them's unnecessarily mean, and then one
nice.
question about hiking. Because you said meandering.
Yeah,
I was like,
that's true.
all right then. Okay,
Yeah.
I can go with meandering. Okay, are you ready?
Nope. But I never am, so it's fine.
Okay, good. Okay, question number 1. In which year did Graham Norton take over from Terry Wogan presenting the Eurovision Song Contest?
See, I don't even know when Terry Wogan passed away, so that doesn't really help, does it? By the way, Terry Wogan's passed away. Sorry, I've just broken news. Sad news to Becca. Sorry about that.
Okay, so in which year did that happen?
Oh gosh, I'm thinking. Well, I'm going to put it a little bit later, but I'm still thinking that's more than 20 years ago. I'm sure it can't be that long ago.
It's not. It's not 20 years ago.
You can hear me scribbling that number out, and I'm going to do a little bit more. Hey.
Okay, question number 2. I'm sorry. I'm sorry in advance. What is the home planet of the Slitheen, and how do you spell it? It's a horrible question. I will give you a bonus point, however, if you tell me the name of the 2 episodes in which the Slitheen appear.
Oh.
Right. Mark is leaning away from the microphone with such a look of pain and despair as he gently rubs his furrowed brow.
What is that called?
These noises are not, in fact, Mark in his final death throes. They are just him thinking as he writes down. I'll tell you how many letters it's got in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. It's a 23 lettered name.
Oh, good. Right, in that case, I'm going to get rid of that one.
Happy times. Bonus points if you can name the lots of letters. That is not the name of the planet, however. But bonus points if you get the episode.
I'm not going to get it right. I'm not going to get any of that right. So well done.
Moving on then. How many times has the UK won Eurovision? Bonus points if you can get the artist and the name of the song they sang.
One second then. What is that?
Brandon will not. I don't even think Brandon knows the Eurovision Song Contest.
Oh.
When is it? Is it next weekend?
Yeah, it's this coming weekend, but the semi-finals are actually this evening, so people might be watching that.
They might be. Yeah, in competition with Eurovision. Have you written as much as you can write?
I've got 3 acts, got 1 song.
And have you guessed how many times we've won?
Yes.
Okay. Right. Number 4. What is the commonly used term for the unevenness of a hiking trail? Is it, this is multiple choice because I'm kind, is it grade, elevation gain, or tread? What is the commonly used term for the unevenness of a hiking trail? Grade, elevation gain, or tread?
Welcome to the elevation game. Oh, no, wait, elevation gain.
Right. Have you written your answer?
David has Googled the Slovene
Do
home
you know,
planet and
I
he
had
still can't spell it.
I double checked it so many times, knowing that my spelling is postmodern at best. It is. I'm now questioning whether I'll even be able to say it out loud.
So
And
type it
question
in a
number
banner.
5: which doctor has the line 900 years of time and space, and I've never been slapped by someone's mother? Which doctor was it? 900 years of time and space, and I've never been slapped by someone's mother.
Do you need the number of the doctor or the actor, or
What would be the appropriate response to saying which doctor?
I am the witch doctor? The witch doctor
Number and
says,
actor. I will accept one or the other. You'll get 2 points if you have both. There you go. That was generous of me. Okay.
Let's see if I get any right.
The name of the home planet of the
question number
Slovene.
1. Question number 1.
Question number 1
was the Terry Wogan. When did Graham Norton?
Oh wait. Oh yeah.
in?
No, sorry. Okay. Terry Wogan was replaced by Graham Norton in 2009.
Got that bit right. I wrote 2012.
Oh, close, but no
So
banana.
15 years ago.
Yeah, there you go. Question number 2. The home planets of the Slovene.
I'm sure I'm going to get it completely wrong, but can I guess?
Yes.
Hyperthechlormexbophenine
Did you just make that up?
Yeah. No idea.
I think you should send that in as a suggestion. Okay, it is Raxacoricofallapatorius.
Yeah. They first appeared, didn't they, in... Is it the New Who with Harriet Jones and is it the Slovene invasion or something?
No, that's later. It was at first in 2005.
Yeah.
Aliens of London, and then World War III.
Yeah, because it's all around Downing Street.
She's posing as the Prime Minister.
And Harriet Jones. Yeah.
There you go.
And then she becomes the Prime Minister.
She does. Question number 4 is 3. The UK has won the Eurovision Song Contest 5 times with Sandy Shaw, Puppet on a String, Lulu with Boom Bang a Bang in 1969, and she tied for first for that. Brotherhood of Man, Save All Your Kisses for Me, Save All Your Kisses in 1976. Bucks Fizz with Making Your Mind Up in 1981. And Catherine and the Waves, Love Shine a Light in every corner of your heart. Let your love shine brighter. I think we should do
so I got the 2 that I was born, whilst I was born. So I got Katrina and the Waves and Bucks Fizz, but I didn't get any of the rest. I guessed Lulu because I knew that third one.
I'm not sure I remember what Lulu's was. Puppet on a String is one of my all-time favourite songs for some odd reason. But I'm not sure I ever remember that was a Eurovision Song Contest song. The commonly used term for the unevenness of a hiking trail is grade.
Oh,
What did you put?
tread. So I
Oh,
knew that we
sorry.
talk about grade of hills and mountains. I just wondered whether tread was like the up and down and how knobbly it was.
They should use knobbly. I think you need
How
to
knobbly
go
was
and
your trek?
out of that to
It was
outdoor shop.
75% knobbly. Makes
Knobbly.
sense. Yeah.
It's a good word. Question number 5. It is Christopher Eccleston, the what number Doctor?
Oh, eighth Doctor, ninth Doctor, ninth Doctor.
The 9th Doctor, who
Yeah,
said
I have
900
written.
years of time and space, and I've never been slapped by someone's mother.
It was Billy Piper's mum, who is.
It was Billy Piper's mum.
Yeah.
There you go. That is the end of this week's quiz. You're welcome.
Thank you. Oops.
What was that
Well
then?
done. I lost the video, so we didn't have the little outro.
I thought that was I'm fiddling in the background and can't think to fill and move my cursor at the same time.
It's been a long day, folks. It's been a long day. So, folks, do please let us know how well you have done with the quiz, how well you have done with us, and how well done in you are with the world. So let us move on to our kind of interest of geekiness. And I think this is just meeting us where we're at tonight, where we are looking forward to Eurovision, whether it is the semi-finals tonight or the finals on Saturday, looking ahead to Doctor Who and just the general geekiness. Stephen has just commented. He said he's got question 4 right, only because I was a scout. As for my Eurovision and Doctor Who knowledge, the less said, the better.
And that is why we keep the quiz broad.
Absolutely. So, yeah, should we start off with a bit of a dip into Doctor Who as we've kind of talked about that and then kind of meander into Eurovision? Are we happy with that kind of thing?
Yeah.
So,
I've just watched the trailer, so I'm kind of, in fact, 2 of the trailers.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been interesting what they've been releasing and dropping. It's interesting that they're going to drop it our time at midnight on Friday. So we can kind of watch it ahead, but it will be broadcast on Saturday and it will have 2 episodes that will go after one another leading up to Eurovision. So it's going to be quite an interesting Saturday viewing. And I feel as if I might need to get my sermon written before Saturday night, as I always do. As
you always do, that long process of sermon writing.
Yeah, but Doctor Who's going to be interesting because it's now going to be the new season, the new era of New Who. This is going to be the point of where Disney open their arms and embrace all what is to come. Because until now, it's just kind of been referencing it and it's gone really kind of over the top with advertising and bits and pieces because it's now got the Disney budget rather than just the BBC stuff. And it'll be interesting to see where Russell T Davies kind of leads things, especially with his previous experience of it, previous passions. I've heard rumours that he's kind of been sitting on various stories and ideas for a long, long time. And so now they're able to come to fruition with a bigger budget and with fresh ideas returning back to the show. And I imagine there must have been quite a lot of things that as you step away from a project to kind of go, oh, didn't manage to get to do this and oh, I didn't manage to get to do that. So I find it would be very interesting to see where they take it. I think there's interesting things regarding the trailers. Have you got any comments about the trailers, Becca?
I watched the official Disney trailer. And the energy was really infectious. I mean, I will go along with the energy of something that I'm watching, and it is slick and it is high budget. But actually, the energy of the actors in it is quite lovely. They were drawing me in. They already kind of have a feel that they might have a lovely dynamic. So I'm up for loving it. I think it's what do we lose when it loses some of that? I could almost make a version of this in my lounge with a decent camera and there is something that particularly BBC dramas used to have,
Yeah.
where you felt like you could just step into the cast and be part of it. And I think we're very, very far away from that. But
Yeah,
the
because
story of Doctor Who is always
the
lovely.
original baddies were so bad quality that there was a quirkiness and a coolness because it was a good disaster like
Mm.
D movie style kind of original Cybermen, original
Yeah.
I want
There
to say
used to
kind of
be
sea
one
monsters.
where he looked like the Licorice All Sorts Man.
Oh
Do
yeah,
you
yeah,
remember that one?
yeah.
And I
Vaguely,
remember watching it and feeling hungry and
peckish
confused
and
all at the
scared.
same time.
But we've also got to mention the fact that whilst they were on a limited budget, they were also pushing different techniques at the time as well. So
Yeah,
some of those
yeah,
opening credit stuff, some of the original regenerations, they
yeah.
were kind of really cutting edge, and they kind of pushed it to like pushed your imagination into that area of thinking, oh
Mm,
gosh, that is a Dalek zapping somebody, and or kind of people
yeah.
being exterminated or upgraded, should I say? And so yeah,
Mm,
as much as there was a limited budget, and I just remember kind of people kind of slowly walking out of the water in a really bad costume, or the
mm.
supposed robot, with the I was about to say Tom Jones era. I don't mean that, Tom Baker era. So some of it is just like, wow, this is bad. But again, it captured your imagination, and as a
But
kid,
I mean,
it was okay
is
to.
there something? And I don't know. I don't know what the studies show, and I don't know what it's doing to our brain. But when we're
Expertise.
invited to watch something,
Hmm.
and as we're watching, our imagination fills in the gap. So I'm thinking something like a puppet show or an animation that isn't giving you all of the visual details. It's not
Hmm.
feeding you the world on a plate.
Hmm.
It's giving you enough of a world to inhabit, like reading a book. But
Hmm.
actually, the rest of it you fill in. Is there a difference in what CGI do, or
Hmm.
photorealistic paintings where they're serving one purpose in that you look at it, you see exactly what it is, you know exactly where that would be, but something like impressionistic art
Hmm.
where you look at it and it's not telling you what to
Yeah.
know about it, it's inviting you to experience it instead. I think, are we receiving that kind of information in a very different
Hmm.
way? And do we, and I mean, that's not the only way we receive information, but I realize the more I kind of scroll through Instagram and fall down the doom scrolling hole, um, that I'm being so spoon fed for my
Yeah. Yeah.
imagination that it just sits back and stops working in the same way. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm sure someone's done studies on it.
I guess the way that we have our expectations heightened by the amount of content that we absorb, the way that things are portrayed, and also that our expectations are very high caliber green screen. You either have to do it really badly that it sticks out in a bad way and in a fun way, or it's got to be really well done professionally, or otherwise it sticks
Yes.
out because it's
Yes,
not
it's
up to
either
the.
intentionally simplistic, like
Hmm,
some animation. I mean, we talk about Bluey. Bluey isn't super high graphic. It's not. It's old. Not old school cartoon, but it's flat 2D imagery
for
that isn't
podcast
trying to
view,
be any
for
more
podcast
than.
listeners, I was gawping at Becca in
There was
disbelief.
an aghast look as I dared
Uh,
to.
but I
Mm,
think I think you're right though. I think and Bluey is strangely uh, a good call out because Bluey is quite simple, and yet the themes are
mm,
so deep and intriguing, and that work on multiple levels, whether as a parent or as a kid, and yet
yeah,
they don't have to push the profanity button or go
yeah,
too silly. It is
yeah.
wholesome, but it is educational, and there is philosophy and ideas behind it, which
Mm,
because it's found its niche and it doesn't have to push the special effects. uh, so yeah, it's an interesting one that you reference that, and I think it does show that you don't have to have all the pizzazz in order
mm.
to carry a really interesting story and narrative. And I think for Doctor Who, it would be really interesting where they go with a bigger budget now, and to see whether
Yeah.
they retain some of that kind of
Yeah.
simple
It has to hold
CGI.
on to some of that storytelling. Certainly that has been kind of out in the last 20 years of Doctor Who,
Yeah.
that invites you into a space of just thinking about things slightly differently. It's why I like science fiction. It's why I like stories that offer you an imagine if moment. It's why I like Black Mirror for those individual standalone that almost say, if we just take this a little bit too far, this is what it could become. And
Yeah.
I think sometimes Doctor Who reminds us of our humanity and his non-humanityness.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it is able to kind of shine a mirror at the human condition or at our culture or society. I think Peter Capaldi's era, I think a number of those baddies and things, or there's definitely been a theme throughout New Who that, sometimes the baddie is the human being
Yes.
rather than the big alien or the broad alien. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's still plenty of those. But occasionally you just get going, actually, who is the big baddie in this? Actually, it's the Victorian,
Yeah.
kind of slave kind of owner and things like this. And it's just like, wow, okay, this
Yeah.
this is kind of, it doesn't shy away from racism. It's not shying away from,
Yeah.
and some people are going to go, oh, it's all become really kind of nowadays. Actually, they've been calling it out for the whole duration, really. So good on them for it, really. Would you like to hear a little bit of my ponderings of where I wonder where the new New Who's going to go, or should we move on?
Yes, tell us your thoughts on the new Who.
Well, because it's Russell T Davies, he
Yeah.
is known for his kind of spreading his breadcrumbs throughout the episodes. So whether that's Bad Wolf in the first kind of season.
Oh, I wrote down Bad Wolf, Mark. I wrote it down. There was automatically the thing where she drops her glass and it's echoing back to that first. Sorry, carry on.
It wasn't a quiz question, though, was it, Becca? Nope.
But you don't understand. I wrote down Bad Wolf. Yes, I think yes.
So there was a way that they kind of like sprinkle the breadcrumbs, and then
Yes.
the Master was another one of those sprinkling the breadcrumbs of who is Harold Saxon. Who is Harold Saxon? If you've not caught up, by the way, spoilers. And then what you have of that, and I think that's with the Stephen Moffat era as well, or kind of as kind of Russell T Davies was winding up. You then have kind of River Song, where you, rather than having the breadcrumbs, you have the final kind of bit of, oh, look, what is this?
Yeah.
And then you kind of find the breadcrumbs afterwards. Very much like when Matt Smith's The Impossible Astronaut, he gets shot again. Potential spoilers if you've not caught up with that. Where have you been? I think enough time has gone past now, so that you actually have the big shocker moment, and then you've got to make up the picture with the breadcrumbs that come afterwards. So rather than the build up to the big crescendo, you actually have the big moment, and then you've got to fill in the gaps afterwards. And so the first two kind of the first couple of kind of storylines was kind of breadcrumbs, then big moment, and then it's gone big moment, breadcrumbs. The TARDIS exploding, the crack in the wall again was the whole kind of big moment, and then piecing it all together. So they've kind of gone breadcrumbs, then big, then small breadcrumbs. I hope that kind of imagery works. Apologies, folks, if not.
Yeah.
And I think this time,
Breadcrumbs, large loaf.
Yes, absolutely. And what's his face? The chap who's just Chris Chibnall, who's just stepped down. I think he had good ideas, but I don't think it kind of carried off the way.
So what was he part of? What was he doing?
So that was basically Jodie Whittaker's Doctor.
Okay.
And it kind of had moments, and it was trying to kind of drop in iconic baddies of the Cybermasters. Won't go into the details there. The Lone Cyberman. What I liked about Chris Chibnall's was using historical dates far better, and really referencing those and kind of going, wow, this was really good that they kind of decided to go there, and they decided to go there in history, and that was really
Yeah.
lovely to have that breadth and taking history seriously enough to want
Yeah.
to kind of incorporate into the story, not just that let's go to Rome, it
This is
was
clearly a Victorian era, and you can tell because of the bustle on her bottom.
yeah.
But that is the only real authenticity we shall
Or
have.
otherwise it looks like a Cardiff backstreet or quarry, but I think Chris Chibnall wanted to kind of address Rosa Parks and things like that, which was just like
Yeah.
fantastic. Nikolai Tesla, it's just like these are really cool kind of nods of the hat. I think the overall story suffered for it, and it just didn't have the finesse. It didn't kind of carry off as well as the diamond face people. Again, they've not even rested in my mind. It's those ones. It was just the flux. It did a big and bold, but it was unraveling and raveling, and some of it I'm still kind of going away going, did we even conclude that? I'm not sure. No idea. Anyway, so it's all a bit hit and miss, I think, unfortunately, and especially unfortunately for Jodie Whittaker, because I thought she had so much potential. Then kind of coming into this, I think Russell T Davies re-picking up these the reins. I think there is something very clearly here, and again, folks, regarding the Christmas special and regarding subsequent episodes, there is something here about Mrs. Flood. So it is a very obvious nod to camera, because she actually, at the end of the Christmas special, she looks right down at the camera and says, "Haven't you seen a TARDIS before?" Wink. But actually, what I found really fascinating is I think that's a very clear cue. But for me, the breadcrumbs were her journey as Mrs. Flood. Is that when she first sees it, she kind of goes, "Oh, what have the council done now?" And she's complaining. She's grumpy towards the next door neighbour. She hates the neighbour. In fact, she's like, "Oh, she's blaming it on him or something like that." But as the Doctor kind of gets to know Ruby Sunday, her character changes, and so I think there's something here about causality. Then you drop the thing where Donna Noble and the Doctor land in the tree, and they kind of say gravity and Isaac
Yes,
Newton
Mavity.
mishears and hears Mavity, and then they reference Mavity ever after that. So I think the breadcrumbs are actually about causality and about just kind of doing this. And then you have the advert when they talk about standing on a butterfly and does that affect things. And then the edit suggests that Ruby Sunday changes into a lizard.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to work out whether this is a part of that vibe, because they're kind of going down the fantasy, the kind of fairy tale element at the moment. So when the toy maker, the celestial toy maker, kind of changes things, has he kind of created fantasy into the real world, and so that these traditions and things
Is
have
it
an impact.
even the real life, or is it, in fact, just fantasy? Caught in a landslide.
No escape,
No escape from reality.
So I feel as if there is something here about kind of causality and effect, kind of cause and effect. And I feel as if that butterfly thing is maybe just like a cheap shot and a cheap trick for a trailer, because I do think Russell T Davies and recent Doctor Who people are going to go, right, we need to do this whole big plot. We also need something for the trailer. And it almost feels as if they've kind of gone, let's put a dinosaur in Victorian London with Peter Capaldi. Is it going to be part of the main story? I'm sure we can make it fit, but it'll be a fantastic trailer bit, won't it? Oh yeah, let's run with it. Because they did that. And so I suspect that's what they're going to do again. And I think maybe that is going to be a little quick nod or a little bit of a joke, or it may be like the butterfly effect explained of how it kind of maybe leads into a story. I think it may be short-lived, but it'll be another nod, another breadcrumb to causality. And I just wonder whether a baddie's either going to use that, or it's going to just really start an interesting ball rolling to timey-wimey causality.
Spacey-wacy.
Yeah, spacey-wacy. And how time travel can impact future events. And therefore, rather maybe re-establish the Doctor trying to not to rock the boat too much, because that was an old kind of thing that they used to do. But it will see. Time will see. Shall we move on from Doctor Who. Are we happy to? Oh,
Yes.
sorry, I could talk about it all night, but I feel as if we've talked about Doctor Who quite a lot, and Eurovision. Are we excited for Eurovision?
I can build up to excitement for Eurovision. I've not worked out what my plans are yet, but I do like the spectacle of it. There is something suitably. Are we allowed to use the word camp? It's that camp.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm going to have to Google it. I've never used it derogatorily, but I know people have.
I believe it or not, I actually had some time this afternoon to look through some of the acts, and the thing that I made a comment of was typical Eurovision. That's some of the acts that kind of have that that vibe, and whether you want to call it camp, whether you want to call it kind of that over the top European.
It's kind of theatrical, joyous, flamboyant, dramatic. It's intentionally visual and in your face.
I kind of want to say
it's cheesy, but yeah.
Eurovision over theatricalness. Yeah, I think there is, and I think when I looked through some of these, there was definitely a very Eurovision ones where I was just like, yep. And these tick the box for me. That I don't want to see these kind of our own country even. I don't want to see kind of countries trying to do a number one in a very serious tone. And there are plenty of those who do this. And again, Ollie Alexander, bless you. You did really well as an actor, as a singer. I don't think you're going to get number one, mate. I imagine he's got some better clout than some others, but he's not going to beat Sam. What's his face? Spaceman. I don't think we're going to do as well as that. But yeah, I feel as if we take it too seriously as a music to try and start or try and further someone's musical career by them doing very smouldering, moody, looking at the camera, or trying to do kind of like.
Has anyone won with the smoulder?
I don't think so. I think kind of usually energy and a nod to Eurovision typicalness, yes, but they kind of do a mixture of all things. But yeah, I've made a note of the ones that I've seen. So I've tried to watch about 20 seconds of about 28 of these potential videos, and I would say only 6 of them had the kind of typical Eurovision flavour. A lot of the other ones went either. I mean, some of them, yeah. So Armenia was quite traditional dress, and at one point I was thinking, is that some sort of I don't know. I won't even say because it sounds dodgy. But then there's others where I was like, oh, you know what? They're going for pop. They're trying, and again, I'm just there going, they're not going to be number one. They're gonna be middle of the board because it's something that you can bop to, but it's not going to be long lasting.
That is the contrast. Is where I'm not that big a fan of the serious Eurovision smolder, where a country comes in and shows an authentic representation of their interpretation of culture and country and music. I'll always root for them. I think there's something, and I think that blend of the two of Eurovision pop, cheesy, flamboyance versus this is what we've got to offer, and it's that simplicity of something beautiful without fiddling with it too much, performed really well. I think when they do the program for Eurovision, and they often get that blend quite nicely. I love it.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting to know what people think, who they think or who they predict is going to do well, who's going to win. I think we also maybe had a bit of a conversation that we might be doing a bit of a Discord type along or something along those lines, but we'll just
live action responses.
You know.
So I won't watch anything from Eurovision until Eurovision. I watch all the songs cold.
Yeah,
so
I get that. This is the first time. this is the first time I have looked at these videos, and it was mainly for this, really. I did send a link in our Discord, and so this is a reminder, folks, that if you are interested in our Discord community, chatting behind the scenes and all that kind of stuff, then you can find us in the blurb where you've been watching this or catching up or otherwise, or if
It'll
not,
be
please let us
posted in
know.
the comments,
Yeah,
something.
on all that malarkey. So yeah, it'll be interesting to know how well we do, but I think also I'm just in it for the Eurovision awesomeness, really, and I love it to pieces. It it does have. I think I've got another alternative for you, Becca. Rather than the campness, I think Eurotrash is the
That
that
used
it's
to be
that
an
kind of.
excellent TV show.
Well, do you know what I mean? It is that completely over the top and whimsical and slightly sexualized, but it was kind of
It's
funny.
cabaret. It's kind of
Yes.
it's the mix of it's a lack of kind of self consciousness of this
Mm,
is just fun. When I twirl in this way, the
mm,
sparklers will go off, the skirt will flare out, and I
mm.
think the movie Eurovision catches it quite well. I mean,
Yeah,
it's a
yeah, ding dong.
exactly. It's a hilarious movie in and of its own right, but it also captures some of the just ridiculousness of what people
Mm.
wear and the visual of being able to go on stage and just perform.
Okay, I'm going to go a little bit not heretical, but I think there is something here, and I'm going to throw in a little kind of handful of God into this. That I think Eurovision, what it does really well is celebrate the humanity of us and what we have in common and its unity when it's done really well. And I think there's also the freedom in music and in entertainment. And as you said, like that cabaret element, which I just think is
Yeah.
so wholesome and uplifting, is that when somebody's up on stage, and I don't mean the broody, smouldering, chappies, oh
Crucio.
yes, it. For me, it's when people just kind of throw it all out there and they just have fun on stage and they're just in the moment and they at least look as if they're enjoying themselves and having fun. And that's what kind of feeds my soul with this, actually, with Eurovision, is that it's just humanity in
Mm.
pure enjoyment. And if I'm honest,
Smorgasbord.
I would really like to see sometimes a bit of that in church. That when we have, and I think we sometimes do see a glimpse of that, a glimpse
Mm.
of where we are lost in worship and song and singing. But sometimes when it's just the traditional stuff, they're going, I want to be able to dance. I want to be able to go a bit wild. And I
Mm.
want to have a laugh in worship. And very rarely do we get the permission to do that. Whereas Eurovision says, here's permission to go wild and to have fun and
Be
to
you,
dance.
yeah. Be you, be
Yeah.
there is space for the quiet and the stillness.
Hmm.
There is place for the well practiced, professional, super talented musicians to get up there and offer something.
Yeah.
There is that space, but it is alongside people wearing great big horns coming out of every part of their appendage in bright pink leather. And
Oh, so
that's
you've seen
also part
Italy
of it.
then?
Oh,
Genuinely.
if not, I'm here to design
Oh
your
no no
costumes.
no, sorry, it is not Italy. That was shoulder twitching. So I did make really random notes. Where is it? La 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 la. Sorry, I've completely stolen your point as well, so apologies. Carry on.
Not, yeah, no, I was just, it's the, thing is, diversity, when done well, is
Hmm.
uncomfortable and it'll clash.
Yeah.
And I think therefore it's an attitude rather than and a practice rather than something that you can put a policy in place and expect it's going to be okay. And it may
Hmm.
be that there are times where we practice stillness collectively, or
Hmm.
we practice clapping or drum circles or louder worship collectively. and that sometimes we unify in order to include. However, you think a really, really good after church meal, there's going to be things on that spread, if everybody has felt welcome to bring their food, that do not go together, and that's okay. And there are lots of different ways you can make that work, where you go up for seconds or thirds, or you partition out your plate with appropriately placed pieces of cucumber so that your foods don't touch, or you just embrace the odd mix match of all the different things that we could end up on our plates if we were truly diverse in what we were allowing to come to the table. And I think it's practice. It's how, what is your attitude coming into this? Can you cope when the mood is going to change? And what do you need in order to help cope?
I think there's something here as well. Sorry, I really like that idea of that smorgasbord, of that mixture of bringing all things together. And the question is, for me as a church leader, is do we give ourselves permission to bring what we really like and that we're really into? Or as church people, do we go in taking the things
bringing
that we
cold
think,
quiche?
Yeah, do we take the things that we expect that we should be liking or that others liking? And therefore, actually, because I remember when I was at college, we did ska worship, as in SKA, did it, and that was a fantastic night. It was talked about for months upon months, because we just went with a style and we had fun leading worship in that very peculiar way. And some people were going, well, I didn't really like that, or some people kind of went, it wasn't my thing, but we could see you embracing it, and it was lovely, And so I think that maybe actually, if Eurovision could teach
there's
us
something
anything,
for authenticity.
is
There's something really delicious to see someone who is able, even if you don't like their humor or you don't always understand what they're saying, if someone turns up authentic and with a level of self-acceptance, then what it does is give you permission, even if you're wildly different, to accept yourself and come and be authentically yourself on your good days and your bad days, that you just come and be authentic. And it's not always going to mesh. Are we going to have a whole... Is that rock? What?
Oh, is it Nirvana?
It is, yeah.
Grunge, possibly.
For those listening on the podcast, Mark is okay.
Oh, yeah, brilliant, Stephen. It says that there's also so much to be said for not liking something, but granting the space for others to do so. I think that is it, isn't it? And I think to be able to be mature enough to do that as well.
Yeah. The most Kingdom of God moment we had at one of the churches we were at was after a 5 or 6 year campaign to really do bring and share lunches once a month. And it involved me chasing people down and saying, no, please do bring something. And then a little bit longer to ask the question, is this as spicy as you would have it at home? And it wasn't. It was toned down for a British palate. And then it took a little while longer of really saying, bring the food that you want to enjoy, that you would, in the way that you would enjoy it at home. And there was this one lady who took a little bit of something from every plate, and she was the lady that would bring the ham sandwiches or the cold quiche. So she had what she liked, but she took a little something from every single dish, and she tried a little something from every single dish, and she said, some of it isn't for me, but I'm really glad I tried it. And there's something really humbling or humble about being willing to put something out something that someone else has made. And I think that's the same with music, because it's such an invasive thing. It's going into, you're going to experience it. You experience music visually and auditorily and emotionally. It's quite a intimate thing to receive someone else's food or someone else's music. But it was, and so it was brave. It was brave for her to try it, and it was brave for her to say, I don't like that.
Yeah.
But that to be absolutely okay, that it wasn't then met with fear or rejection. It was just, actually, that's not for me. And that for me is kind of heaven.
Yeah.
Is not this perfect, whitewashed, samey, everything harmonious. It's messy, but it's so full of grace and love that you can sit next to the person who is listening to ska music and you find a way to accept who they are as they are, because they're just beautiful.
That sounds fantastic, Becca. That's a good note to end on. I'm aware that we've got the Geeky Gallery and we've just hit 9 o'clock, so we're going to go a couple of minutes over, if that's all right, folks. Gallery. So let's throw this up here, and we're going to first of all go to Mendip Nomad. Has been showing off lots of figures, and especially over the bank holiday weekend as well, which is the third one. Cultists complete, and then evening for a game for your local game shop as well, which was what our bit of conversation was about. FLGSs for supporting local independent gaming shops for your models and bits and pieces, but all those are looking fantastic. We then go to Specky Geek. Good evening, David. Enjoying the snooker and currently playing Magic the Gathering with friends, and built a very bad deck. And Ben has joined us as well. Good evening, mate.
Hello, Ben.
And then we're going to look towards. Now, this is a reference to last week, and this is Rory, who was talking about astronomy. How is that even
staying up?
I think there's like a line going directly from one side of the lawn to the other or something, but that is his Ender Dragon, which is fantastic for his Scarecrow festival. I think that is just awesome. And then, this is viticulture that I was playing yesterday. So it's like the wine game, like good Methodists who are playing a game about winemaking, which is a fantastic game, but it blows my mind because you've got to think about what vines you've got in the field, what grapes you then kind of gather, you harvest, and then you bottle them. And then at the end of that round, all your wine and grapes ages a year. So you've got to keep in mind the age of the wine to fulfill your orders. And it's like, oh my gosh, my head's exploded again. And the other thing I was going to show you, and this is what I was going to mention earlier, is that I've been doing some AR, some augmented reality stuff, and I decided to poke the beast of AI. And I was like, rather than me creating something... This is, believe it or not, folks, okay, for podcast listeners, this is a
Hang on, let me describe it for podcast listeners. What is in front of us is a picture of what looks like a Lego brick that has grown warts. It's a distorted colour all over, warts or nipples. It's yellow and blue mixed together, and it looks like a Lego brick has had babies with some repulsive something.
Can I tell you what it is?
Yes, please do.
I put into, I think, Meshy, other AI generators are available. This was to make a 3D rendered model, which is why it's Meshy, to make Jesus with the 12 disciples at the Last Supper sat at the table. And what every single regeneration thing it had done was put the disciples and Jesus inside the table. And I was like, why have you done that?
I did. So, if I was to do a fair question, I was going to say, is that the Last Supper?
Yeah.
But actually, the warty Lego brick
and
was
if you want
funner
people to be
describe.
Traumatized, then I would put it out there. But
You're
I'm definitely
welcome,
not going to do that. So that is all for the Geeky Gallery. And if you want to share with that, then join our Discord and post things up there, and we will share it as we get it. Well, from week to week. And Ben's just, but I think we're safe from the robots taking over if that's what they come up with. Let's be honest. I feel as if our jobs are safe with the theology and explaining who Jesus and God is, if that is the closest what they can get
to. A warty Lego brick.
By Da Vinci.
But
So I think that is everything, folks. Unfortunately, I don't think we've got any others in May because of our diaries, scheduling, bank holidays, half terms, and all that kind of stuff. So I'm sorry that we can't offer you anything more. We might get our thinking caps on and ponder about ways in which we can maybe connect in the community or otherwise. But again, we'll be on Discord, I'm sure, sharing
yeah,
all the various
look
bits and
out for
pieces.
Eurovision live streaming. Someone will probably almost definitely be in Discord. We'll create a channel to keep the main chat free. But if you fancy a chat on Discord as you're watching Eurovision, I'll probably be around watching.
Yeah.
So yeah, join us for that. The
So
chat's in the chat, the channel's in the chat for Discord. That's good.
So, bless you, folks. Thank you for watching. We'll keep you posted for future episodes. Thank you for listening for podcasters. And anything left to say, Becca?
No, we love you. We love you, our faithy geeky family.
Absolutely. In God, we geek.